I'll start with this. Sanjay sir, I was very thrilled and amused when, your casting was announced for the Fame Game. And it has paid off in the show in a very interesting way. I remember, in the 90s when you and Madhuri had done a couple of films together, they were romantic pairings. And, a lot of people remembered you in that equation. This show puts you guys in a very different, it's a husband-wife, a very abusive relationship, and it's antagonistic from the start. Did you and Madhuri wonder about this? Also the meta sense of this, that you get a sense of time to these characters who were young, or let's say these actors who were young and all in love in the 90s, and here we see years later them in a completely different antagonistic relationship. Did you guys have chats about this?
We didn't have a chat, but I think just somewhere it must be in both our minds that that was the challenge, that was the interesting part of this thing, that you're working with another actor and you're working after 25 years, because I did Raja way back, released in 95, and Mohabbat was 97. Both were like 97. The Mohabbat, though, I was a secret admirer, I was obsessed, I was in love with her. Though I'm in love with her even in this thing, but I've got my own complex. I think so, as an actor, that's a challenge, because you're working with this. There is not a single moment like, probably what Manish Khanna is doing. I have done that in my other two films. And so that was even more challenging. And that was the fun part, to work with an actor whom I've done, a certain, I've shot for more than 150 days with her before I started shooting with her in this, and in a completely different role and everything. But trust me, when the camera was off, we were back to what we were when we were Raja and Mohammed.
Karishma, tell us about your journey, all the way to Fame Game, and what excited you and thrilled you about this project. And you were co-directing with Vijay. Sri was the creator. So how did also that pan out? And you took care of different episodes, and how was it coordinating with these people and creating a unified vision for the show?
Obviously, my journey has been a long journey. After this, you should go and you should Google it. But and you must watch my other shows. My previous show before to this was called Mental Hurt, which was it was Karishma Kapoor's debut on OTT. Yes. So I don't know if you've heard of it.
So all the 90s heroines are making a debut with Karishma.
Yes.
Yeah. First Karishma Kapoor, now Madhuri Dixit.
Right. So this show happened to be because I know Sri, and he had also seen my work in Mental Hurt. So he got in touch with me when he was in Bombay. And I read the episodes. I think I read 2 or 3 episodes, and I instantly fell in love with it. I understood the world he wants to step into, the world he wants to show. Again, having been in this industry for so long, I get the world. I get what also happens to a very large extent behind the scenes. So I totally connected with it. I jumped. I said I want to be a part of it in whatever capacity. So initially it started with only having to direct 2 episodes and to be an associate showrunner on this. Because again, for Sri to not be from here, he's from the West. Language is also a barrier to quite an extent, and so I in that sense we worked very well together, and he and I work very well together. I have not had any ego issues. I generally don't. And then Vijay came into the picture, and he and I were co-directing. He is someone I will give my life for. He is someone who I have just fallen in love with. He's such a beautiful human being, and he's been there for me through this journey like a pillar. And I really looked up to him. If I felt a little jittery about, if at all I had a bit of an action sequence happening somewhere, I sat and consulted him, this action sequence and all. I'm thinking I'll do this. I was almost like a child waiting to discuss things with him. And he always guided me and directed me in the right direction. If I felt like I was like going a little, he's done films, he's worked with Mr. Bachchan. So he's Bijoy Nambia by the end of it, So in that sense, Bijoy and myself worked very well together. And then we had Manoj, who's our DOP, and Manoj. The 3 of us worked very well together. And with having Sri in the picture, I think as a unit, we all were on the same page. So it really helped, smoothen out the entire process.
So when you read the material, of the Fame Game, having been a veteran actor, having had a long career and known the industry up close, you've always also produced. You come from a film family. How authentic did you find, the writing? And because Shri and the writers were working from the outside, I want to know, how close did you feel the writing was to, let's say, the film industry itself and to actors and their lives and their complexity?
See, I remember Shri was in New York when he, I was got in, everybody got in touch with me. I had a couple of Zoom calls with Shri. Then he wanted me to go through the first episode. Then I went through the first episode. He said, "What is your reaction? What do you feel about this character?" And he wanted to know, forget the writer and the director in him. He wanted to know what I think of the script and Nikhil More, the character, so that he understand whether we are in the same page. And somewhere itself, that time only we gelled in the sense that whatever the way he had thought how he wanted Nikhil, and the way I was thinking, what Nikhil is and everything. You always, like you said, I've been a producer also. I've been part of this industry, so obviously I've seen it very closely. So whatever outputs I could, give, and then it just organically happened. And then he came down. This was happening probably in 2019 December, and January he was in Mumbai, and then we met at my house and we started chatting, and then he spoke about the whole script. He gave me the gist of it. He told me what is in his mind and everything. He said, that time I didn't know Karishma and Bijoy were going to direct. I don't think so. They were signed that time. He said, I'll be directing few episodes and we'll have another director or two to direct the other episodes and everything. But that time I was not thinking who's going to do it and everything, because the way he was explaining and everything, it was very convincing. And it was just not my part. I think so. The whole world was looking very good to me. It was very interesting. From my father, I used to hear these old stories of these, older. This is more at that time, those heroines used to come where the mothers were very pushy. This was probably the 50s, 60s, which I'd heard, which remain in your this. So I remember, you hear about these things, from your father. I've been born in this line, so I'd heard this. How these heroines had come in, and there was a time where early people used to feel to be a part of the film industry, लड़कियों को industry में नहीं होना चाहिए. That was way back in the 60s probably, and everything. And how things today change. Today, the kind of people who are part of this, it's all changed. So the Fame Game, they keep on asking how close it is to the film industry. I think so. That character Anamika maybe was there much in the 50s and 60s. There are bits and pieces of taken from different experiences of people. It's not it's a fictional thing. It's not a story of anybody. It's not a biopic or anything. It's not a thing. You very rarely today's time see Anamika Anand today, a heroine whose mother is a pushy or something. Today it's become like a 9-to-5 job. It's a very professional thing. It's totally different. But this was a world that did exist. It's not that this world never existed. And what is the most important thing? We only talk about obviously the name of the show is Fame Game, but the show is actually not only, it is anybody famous. Whenever anybody is famous, whether he's in the industry, whether he's a businessman, the relation, the dynamics he has with the children, the complexes the children has, he or she is known as they want to do better than that parent. Will they be able to match the success of the father or the mother? So it's about the relationships, and that is what is most interesting about this show. It is just not, it is about the film industry, but it is the relationship. That's the reason we kept on harping on. If you see the marketing thing also, it's about a family. It's about a disjointed family. So that was very, very interesting, and I knew this would connect because it's, बोलते हैं जो फिल्म पहले बोलते थे कि जो फिल्मों के बारे में फिल्म बनती है वो चलती नहीं है because वो आइडेंटिफिकेशन नहीं है. But ये वो शो नहीं है. This series is not that. It is about relationship, and this is also part of it. The fame part and the being an actor is part of it. This could be this could be a story of any successful family.
Exactly. I also feel because ours is an entertainment business, and what other way to say it, right? Because you could show this in another field of work, but since ours has so many more layers, and which is in any case, people have more interest in, I feel, what's happening in and around behind the scenes of the industry, because it still seems very glamorous in that sense. So if you're talking about dysfunctional family and insecurities which lie in every human being at any industry that they work in, but I guess to choose an industry that is an entertainment business that is actually open to the world to also be subjective over and talk about, everyone connects and identifies with an actor or a character. So what better way to say it, right?
But Karishma, tell me about this aspect of the show. It's a dharma production, right? And for the longest time, we've associated dharma with the status quo. And to a large part of the audience, it has represented the mainstream and everything that's powerful and mainline about Bollywood. When dharma creates a show that also looks at the industries critically, and also looks at it from the inside, did the makers, the directors, writers have that expanse of freedom, to get into terrains, to get into,
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that, yeah. Right.
We are here to tell a story. Yeah, nobody is taking it personally. No one is putting it is not about a specific person. Where it's a again it's
Sorry to
about
interrupt. You're talking about Dharma. Madhuri is playing
Yeah.
Anamika. So forget
yeah,
Yeah.
Dharma. She was playing an
exactly,
actor, and she herself is an actor. So
yeah,
we are all actors. So when when we are shooting Dharma's, dramatics is not even in the picture. We as actors,
exactly.
because we know we are creating a fictional thing, we are working towards it. So all those thoughts are not coming in our mind.
Yeah, yeah. None of those thoughts are going through anyone's mind actually.
So just tell me this. There's a scene I really like when Anamika and Nikhil are walking, and Anamika is happy with how the films turn out. Hasrat, they go for the screening, and Nikhil is losing it. He's like, "मैंने commercial blockbuster बोला था और इसने arty film बना दिया."
I
And
was
it's been the eternal debate in Bollywood for longest time.
Yeah,
People look at
I
it
was
in
playing
binary.
I was playing the
हाँ,
chamber boy
हाँ.
जो commercial film और hit picture.
Right. But tell me this, where do you stand on this? You had a lovely evolution from having done big commercial stories to now, more
Yeah, no,
nuanced, more
I
deeper roles.
see the thing is that I still stand by it. You should make very interesting films, interesting shows. By the end of the day, it should be successful. You should work towards the success of it. There's no point in creating something which, you should try for the global audience wherever you can. And why not? The more you reach out to people, today, fortunately, with OTT and everything, and today the world has become such a smaller place where you can वो जमाने I remember when I started off ऐसा लगता है कि यार एक action scene भी होना चाहिए क्योंकि बिहार और पंजाब
हाँ.
में तो पिक्चर नहीं चलेगी. But now you're catering to our audience today when your show is coming on Netflix. You are catering, you know that Netflix subscribers these are the subscribers and everything. And they, you know what you're getting into. You know you're getting into a world market and everything. So so success is very important. So when we are doing this kind of a show, we are catering to the world and everything. So that scene where I say, I need, मैंने तो सोचा था कमर्शियल पिक्चर बनेगी, इसने तो साली आर्ट फिल्म बना दी. Obviously that's a more exaggerated thing,
Yeah.
but that's the way I'm playing that kind of a producer. I'm playing that character. That's how you would think. You would think यार कुछ चाहिए यार, कुछ गाने वाने बजाओ. ये देखो यंग लड़की यहाँ पे साले ये सेक्सी सिंबल बनी हुई है, इसके साथ मेरी पिक्चर लग रही है. And this is what happens when your two big films released together. There was a time when the multiplexes were not there. ऐसे लगता था कि यार ये हमारी पिक्चर कौन देखेगा. मुझे याद है कि जब पिक्चरें लगती थी तो लगता था ये बड़ी पिक्चर लगती है. आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर जब गेटी में लगेगी और गेटी में ये पिक्चर हाउसफुल हो जाएगी, जो ओवरफ्लो ऑडियंस आएगा वो गैलेक्सी और जेमिनी में आएगा क्योंकि वो एक थिएटर में लगती थी. Today is the time of multiplexes. Today you have your own world, you have single screen, you have multiplexes. That's the reason I think so the quality of films have also become much better. And today because the quality is increased, the people are this with the global market and everything. So we are competing with the West, and today I was talking today our show is in the top 10 show of the world market in Netflix, not in India, Bahrain or Kuwait or Abu Dhabi. इस पे तो है 1 or 2, internationally on Netflix, our Indian show is competing with all the international shows. It is in the top 10 of all Netflix international shows, just not for the Indian shows. So for us, that is what is the most satisfying part. The world has appreciated our work.
Yeah.
And today we are reaching there. Today, people used to, I remember, I used to read other people's interview also. People had this, media had this thing of going to Hollywood. अरे you're doing such great work over here यार यहाँ अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं कोई हॉलीवुड से तो कोई पूछता नहीं आप बॉलीवुड में आने वाले नहीं हो तो हमसे क्यों पूछते रहते हो अभी जाने की जरूरत ही नहीं यहाँ पे अच्छा काम करो हॉलीवुड देख लेगी अपने आप
Exactly.
Right. Karishma, a constant theme and line of discussion in the show is also fan culture in India. And it has its own identity in India. Our superstars are deities almost. And, Anamika, from the start of the show, we know people love her. And having Madhuri there, you don't even need to establish that. Just the fact that Madhuri plays that, the audiences know that, what is being talked about. I liked it how through the character of Madhav and through different ways, you explore various facets of, fan culture. And it gets toxic, it gets overbearing, it gets intrusive to people's life, but the show also looks at the other side of what stars provide to actors, the sense of escape, the sense of aspiration that they live with. So I thought the show looked at fan culture in very different ways. Just your thoughts on how Bollywood relates to fan culture and how they are both connected in a way that it's sometimes uncomfortable, but it's very it's inescapable.
Yeah, I mean again, fans, I think in any medium, right, like whether it's you're a musician, you're an actor, you're an artist, you're an author. So you'll always have fans. You'll always have people who, are a bit obsessive and they can go those few notches higher, which is a bit scary, which which you see in our show also. You see there is an obsessive fan. That whole culture and that whole thing really does scare me. I mean, I think the first time I ever witnessed a big crowd of people is when I'd initially started working in this industry, and we were shooting in in a smaller outskirts of Maharashtra somewhere, or was it Punjab? I'm confused. Anyways, I've shot like in Punjab and Agra and various places, and Panchgani, Mahabaleshwar. And I remember being caught once. One of the actors was going, and the crowd, the mob of people just ran his way. I remember standing there in fear because there was a small huge man running through, and I stood there and I was shaking up. I was like, dude, this is. I mean, I'm feeling this where no one's even like around me. They're just running for this one person. And that day I realized that it all looks good from a distance. But when you're in their shoes and what actors go through, it's not the best place to be in, because you have people who want to touch you, people who are like jumping for you. There's just no also I feel in our country, when it comes to space, it's something that we, are not, I really thought post-COVID, people will still understand distance and space. But I feel like in our culture and in our country, we still don't understand space. We still have someone standing right here. So that for me, when I see an actor and I see someone's personal space, there's always, it's invaded. So I really hope and wish, and I was just watching, I don't know if you watched this, where Will Smith was he was being interviewed by someone. One guy went, kicked him on his cheeks, pushed him, and he slapped him, and he said, "What are you doing, bro? Like, back off." Yes. And I was just thinking, I'm like, how is that as human beings, we don't know where to draw the line, Like, you can be obsessed with someone, but this is this person, like So yeah, I mean, this fan culture, and it's new. It's new for me in the sense of like seeing it and portraying it on screen. It's definitely very scary.
Nikhil has a friend in the show who's trying to invest into the movies, and he's a very interesting character to follow. throughout. And I want to ask from you, Bollywood, there are a lot of people, and I just don't mean the underworld of criminals. There's a lot of people who from different businesses who come, to the industry, who try to, invest in there. Have you had a crazy experience sometime from people, somebody from a completely different part of, business or world, one day was interested in movies, maybe had no idea, and, and wanted to get into movies. Do you have any memory of person like that?
First of all, in the show, this person, Happy, who's Karishma's good friend also, and I've
Yes.
known him over a while. He's not a friend, actually. He's just a person. He's an investor and everything.
Yeah.
The same thing happens. You sometimes this was actually used to happen way back, say about 15 to 20 years back. Now the corporate culture and everything has come. When you're starting a film, 95% of the films that are made or the shows which are made are already, what the platform is, or who's producing it. The money is already secured. So it's no longer the time when my father was being, a producer, and where, कि कल की shooting के लिए आज पैसा organize हो रहा है, and those kinds of things. So yes, this culture was there earlier, like when I was very young, or maybe when I was starting off and everything. And yes, at that time there was no corporate culture, so the producers were taking money from financiers and everything. In between, there was always this one person who would come suddenly, who was very much interested in everything, wanted to fund your film. At that time, I would not say it happened with us, but I can very well imagine that a person who's trying to make a mark, he wants to make a film, he's not going to do due diligence of the person who he's desperate for that money to finish the project. At that time, he thinks he has met him at a 5-star hotel. He looks like a great guy. He's ready to fund the film. He's got paperwork kar diya and everything. Once in a while, there's a bad penny in there in any line, and it used to happen over here. But fortunately, that culture is totally changed now. Today, everything is, there is nothing, there was a time where a lot of cash thing was happening in all our lines. And today, there is not even 1 rupee, which is, so everything is so crystal clear. So that's the reason this culture is only over, everything is so crystal clear. Everything is, today, when a producer makes a film, today when Dharmatics has made the film, Apurva and Karan didn't come on the set. Apurva came one day to when we started shooting.
That's it, yeah.
And Karan, we didn't meet Karan throughout the shooting. The EP was there. This is how what I'm trying to say. Today, that's the reason a person can make 5 films, 4 shows, because there are different jobs given, because everything is in paper. You don't need to. वो ज़माने थे कि the producer दिखता था कि production controller ने क्या किया है, ये पैसा खा तो नहीं रहा है, कितने की deal की, कितने का क्या किया. Those days are over. Today you're dealing. Mostly the films you're doing is very rarely a producer sitting on the thing. If he's coming on set, he's come to socialize. He's not come to check on accounts or something. That is done in the office. So it's become so such a professional thing that everybody's got a job to do, and they're doing their job.
Karishma, 2-parter could become a 3-parter. I'll start with this. It ends with, the show ends on a cliffhanger. So, what are plans for season 2? And if you guys are shooting very soon and things like that. And also, the second part of it is when you pitch, when a show comes to Netflix, that has been envisioned as a multi-part series. What is the approach there? That do they wait for a show to let's say.
So there is going to be a season 2, and they are writing the season 2 as we speak. And we cannot give you any timelines or like months when it'll start and when it'll release, but it's happening. It will happen.
Thank you so much, Sanjay sir. Thank you so much, Karishma.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.